Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey? Hi, I am Sharon Kumara, host of Awakened Soul. By tuning into Awakened Soul Radio, you will be inspired to shed the illusions that bind you, connect more deeply with your inner wisdom, and step into a liberating life of freedom, clarity, and purpose. Each episode, I share stories and lessons learned that help cultivate greater compassion, patience, and understanding, qualities to embody in everyday life. I invite you to join in as we expand our awareness, exploring diverse topics, and gain access to practical tools, guided exercises, and expert advice to help overcome fears and break the chains that bind us. Join us on Awakened Soul. Your journey to freedom and true self begins here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Awakened Soul podcast and radio. I am your host, Sharon Sananda Kumara. Thank you for being here. And I'm also the author of Awakened Soul, the book, My Near-Death Journey Home Through Christ's Infinite Love, where I share about my 2001 near-death experience, where I was met by Christ, and the crazy aftermath after my near-death experience, what I would call a quickening, where we're somewhere else and not here all of a sudden. So anyway, today I am super excited because I have Barbra Banner with me today. Hello, Barbra.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. And Barbra is a fellow psychic medium and has lots of stories to share and to help you trust your gifts and abilities as well. So she's going to share some tips on that and a really fun exercise towards the end of our broadcast today, which I can't wait for. So, Barbra, do you mind sharing a little bit of your background?
Okay, well, I wasn't one of those babies who, was pointing to orbs in the crib. I didn't feel anything different until I was about 13. And I just felt like I was a little psychic, or how did I know that? Um, and I just said to my friends, I think I'm a witch. Okay, I didn't even know what else to call it. But I was always interested after that in paranormal things, and I'd watch those shows with other psychics and mediums, and it just didn't come to me till, a long time later, like 40 years later. During the pandemic, uh, things just broke loose. Things were flying off the shelf and spinning around the room and lights flashing. And it was just orbs in a video that I had just done. And I just knew spirit, they want to talk to me. So I'm not saying no to them. If they can do all that,
Yeah.
I better get on the horn. So I took my first class with Suzanne Giesman. I had never even meditated before. I was just like a little fresh lamb walking in there. What do I do? And even on the first practice that I did with meditation, our homework practice, I saw my dad looking over at, I locked myself in a closet. I didn't want to tell my husband what I was doing. And I saw my dad looking with some cohorts on the other side, like she's gonna do this, and I thought, this is easy, okay? So I was meant to do it. And I had been told that later that I've been doing it for about 1,000 years. So it's probably burned at the stake at some point as well.
Mm-hmm.
And only then did I realize that all of the volunteer gigs that I did for 35 years were divinely guided for me to be able to do this. I had no idea why I selected. I was on a women's crisis hotline, months and months of training with therapists and everything. ER in Los Angeles, you see everything there. And I think that was really good for my adrenaline habit. And then being on scene on a crisis response team for the city with when police were there and there was a deceased body on the scene and the family showed up, or a traumatized witness who just saw this whole thing unfold. And I was there to help the family on the worst day of their life.
Wow.
And that's And then, within 7 months of my first meditation, I hung a shingle and I was out there just giving donated readings and reading other mediums. It was really fast. But I
Yeah.
got the greatest guides. They're very funny. They know I like doing things chop chop. So everything goes quickly.
Hmm. Awesome. I love that. So when you were a kid, let me ask you this. When you were a kid and you were seeing your abilities, did they ever scare you? Because mine did. And I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it because I was raised Catholic and I couldn't
Yeah.
tell. Yeah.
Um, well, my abilities, I didn't really come until I was, middle school. So, and I wasn't afraid of them. I thought it was cool. I mean, I
Yeah.
just thought, wow, I just named the person who won the Academy Awards in those two things, and I just, I went with it. I didn't think it was anything to be afraid of. They weren't hurting
Good.
me. In fact, I could make a little money in the pool where everyone is doing the Oscars. So, um, I went with it.
Oh, good, good. Okay. Yeah. For some reason, probably because the way I was raised in my history, it scared me, all of it. And seeing dead people scared me, definitely. And
Yeah, that didn't bother me. I grew up in a hospital. My dad owned medical
okay.
medical laboratories and hospitals, so I
Oh,
saw
wow.
everything.
Okay. So yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing that.
I did have one scary moment in my 20s. My grandmother visited me, and it was like she was like laying on top of me. I mean, she wasn't touching, but it felt so heavy. It was a little scary at the time. And I don't remember her really talking to me. I just knew she was there. And it felt very 3D. It was not a dream.
Hmm.
There's a big difference. If you've had a dream where spirit is with you, most
Yeah.
of the people say it's very real. This
Right.
was not a dream.
Yeah. That's funny. My grandfather was my first memory of a spirit that I saw, and he was floating outside the second story window when I was sleeping in bed.
Wow.
And I sat up and I saw him, and he scared the bejesus out of me because I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We're on the second story, and he's just
Right.
looking at me. Yeah, stuff like that. But I'm happy to hear that that wasn't scary for you. I would love to hear what one question as I interrupt myself. Do you believe that intuition and psychic abilities are kind of the same, or are they not? What do you think? What do you feel?
I do feel it is the same. It's just something inside you. It's the knowing, like clairsentience or whatever. It's just, I feel I'm led to this, and that's intuition. I should take the left. I don't know why I want to take the left road today instead of going the same way I go home every night. And then you get home after you've smartly taken the left road, and you find out there was a tanker that overturned on that road, and five people
Yeah.
were hurt. And then you think back, wow, something made me do that. And I think it needs those little lessons for someone to believe. It's hard to, if someone says, we are living in Alice in Wonderland. I can't even explain it to you, but nothing is what it is, and it's something amazing that you've never seen before.
Hmm.
It's hard to get your arms around that.
Yeah.
But when little things keep happening, it you perk up a little, your ears perk up, you open up a little, and then you go to a medium and then you're saying, okay, I get it, I believe
Hmm.
it. It's and this was amazing that
Right.
I got to
Yeah.
connect. We grow up with seeing is believing as the mantra. Seeing is believing, okay? Not for our gig. It's believing is seeing. And
It's
if you
seeing.
don't believe it, you're not going to see it because your mind is going to say, "Nope, not no, that's ridiculous. That's my imagination." I mean, I had a woman, I told her, I said, your son is giving, I see a lot of butterflies around you. And then, her husband was with her, and because she didn't say, well, no. And the husband said, honey, a few days ago, there was a whole bunch of butterflies like flying, behind you. And that one flew right around you a couple times. I said, after I told you there was butterflies, I said, why didn't you think it was from your son? She said, well, my mind just said it must be butterfly migration season or mating season. I
Yeah.
said, you talked yourself out of a really good symbol that he gave you. That's really crazy. And I'm going to use it when I tell people of crazy things people have done to say, I don't have any signs, pushed it away. You can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Doesn't hurt to
totally.
say, wow, maybe. What if it
Right.
is,
And that opens
Just
your channel. It opens your
exactly
channel for
opens you
more
up.
signs.
It opens you up.
Definitely. Reminds me of, the movie, I think it's God Almighty with Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Where he's he's having a really hard time in his life and things are falling apart. He's saying, God, just give me a sign, God. And he's driving down the road and there are signs everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Everywhere he turns, there's all these signs. Why can't I get a sign, God, please?
Right. You got to be open to it, or you're just gonna it's gonna go right by you.
Right. And also I believe that people expect certain signs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We don't get me started on that. People who have, like, what was I wearing 3 days ago? What color were my pajamas? What's our code word?
Yeah.
And then they'll try to trick you into saying, just it's crazy. I was telling, I had a client and I said, I've got your father here and he's sitting on his stoop. Because, she goes, yeah, he sat on a stoop because he was from New York or whatever. And I said, he's smoking a cigarette. She goes, hmm. She goes, he doesn't smoke. He never smoked. But as you started to talk, I said, Dad, if it's you, mention a cigarette. So I said, "Oh, don't you throw those little things in?" But he did. So, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, Spirit is, I love Spirit. They do come through with humor because we talked about humor a little bit
Yes.
before we started recording and then had to re-record. But yeah, Spirit does tell me a lot and clientele a lot. Stop taking everything so seriously.
Well, supposedly our guides, they are with us, and if we have a good sense of humor, that's why they're with us. They know how
Right.
to connect with us and make us help us do our best, and whatever helps the grief and the
Hmm.
sadness. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, totally. And laughter is the best medicine
I
for sure.
agree. It can raise your besides raising your vibration so that you can get closer to your loved one.
Right.
It can lower your blood pressure and raise your immunity and keep you from getting depression through all of the grief. There's just so much it can do. In fact, I'll give you a statistic.
Okay.
15 minutes of laughter equals 2 hours of restorative sleep. That's
Nice.
how powerful it is.
Oh, I love that.
So if you can't sleep and you've been up for a couple hours, stop tossing and turning and go watch like the Three Stooges or something that you like, a Melissa McCarthy movie. Have some fun while you're miserable.
That reminds me of that another movie, true story, Norman Cousins, I think is his name, a gentleman who was diagnosed
Yes.
with cancer.
Uh-huh.
And was in the hospital bed watching funny movies,
Yes.
comedies. He would not let anyone in his room that was not laughing with him. And
Yeah.
he healed his cancer through laughter.
Well, Dolores Cannon says we make ourselves sick and we can make ourselves better.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I love her book. She's amazing.
I know. I wish she was still around. Well,
Mm.
I'll have to bring her in on a reading somewhere.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, she's hangs around. I know you felt her, I'm sure, but she does hang around once in a while. If I'm with a client that is a big fan of hers, I'll feel her energy coming in
Well,
and we
I'm
can
gonna I'm
start
gonna
talking.
call her in and do a trance reading with her and just put the
Recorder on.
audio recorder on and see what I get.
Ooh, yeah. I would love to hear that. She's an amazing woman. Her books helped me so much when I started waking up back 2000, 2001, that time, 20 something years ago. Her books blew me away, especially when I started reading The Custodians. When I read The Custodians,
You think that's the best one?
uh, I do. I mean, her books before that are really good too, but The Custodians blew me wide open. And yeah, I mean, I was vibrating like crazy.
Oh,
There,
I
yeah,
have
there
to
was,
read that one.
yeah, and then The Convoluted Universe, that whole series. Custodians is the first book in the Convoluted Universe, and then
Hmm.
uh, the rest of the series, she decided to call. She didn't think she was going to get any more information after The Custodians, and then it just kept coming and coming and
Oh
coming.
yeah.
Yeah,
They loved her, so they just
yeah,
came right out.
totally.
She
But
was a
yeah,
good
that's
spokesman.
an it's an amazing book, especially if you want to know about our history in the galaxy, in the universe, that type of thing, humanity's history. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And she does talk about the pandemic, but not in so many words. You can tell when she's talking about things that have already happened that her clientele have brought through, not her herself,
Right. Yeah.
that her clientele have brought through. And she's kind of, her clientele were like Nostradamus in
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Talked about him.
Good stuff. Yeah. So, do you have any stories
Well,
about some cool
yeah, I've
experience?
got some good stuff, and we were
Good.
just talking about having funny guides.
Yes.
My guides had started to book clients for me, but all on the same day at the same time. People were emailing me, and he had put the name of somebody attached to them that needed help. And people were saying, I don't have a session with you on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. And I got all these people writing me and calling me, and I'm saying, I am so sorry. It must be a technical glitch. I didn't want them thinking I'm trying to stir up business here. Hey, I didn't do it, but it was crazy. And then I would say to them, they would say, and you had my daughter's name in there. And
Mm.
I said, okay. And then I talked to one woman and I said, who is Rosa Rodriguez? Her name is in the message line. She said, that's my housekeeper. How would you know her name? I said, I don't. I said, is there any reason that she might have needed a reading? And she goes, oh my God. She said, her son died 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
So it was that kind of stuff that was going on. I said, I appreciate, you're doing this for me, guys, but please, it's causing me so much. It cost me hours of emailing everybody with an apology and saying, I didn't do it. Um, so, and they tried it again second time, but I've had some really interesting things. Um, I had a woman who was very, very skeptical. We talked about it makes it difficult for me. Some people don't care and they can just, it's not me talking, it's just spirit, so just doesn't matter.
Right.
Um, Everything, her husband had taken his life, and everything I said was, you could have read that in the paper. Did you Google that one? I mean, everything was like a no, not a no. It's like she wanted to say no, but it still made sense to her. Anyway, so I ended that a little early. Um, and then 2 nights later, her husband, who I had came through for me when
Right.
she was there, but she didn't want to believe it. I said he came at 3 in the morning and gave me a message. He showed me a half a toasted bagel with the center scooped out. You know how sometimes people scoop out the center, save 4 calories, and then throw in another 1,500 in avocado. I said, he showed me that for you. She goes, I don't know why you're calling me with this. That's ridiculous. I don't know anything about scooped out bagels other than that's how I like them, but that's not evidence.
Other than that's how I like them.
But anyway, I said, okay, just be aware that that's what he wanted me to tell you. So at the end of the week, she gets back to me and she goes, you're not going to believe this. She said, I went to see his father, my father-in-law. And the father-in-law says, I invented a product. Here, I want you to look at the prototype. and see if you can tell me what it is. So she told him, she said, I have no idea what I'm looking at. He said, it's a bagel scooper.
Ah.
She said, we all started screaming in delight and like crying, knowing that his consciousness lived on. He is around. He put that in my head. He knew what his parents were doing. I mean, and now she gets messages all over the place. She's like,
Good.
so
Yeah,
that was a funny one.
that is funny.
That it was crazy. I had a really heartwarming one. A woman who lost her 6-year-old son. Um, and so in my sessions, I also do a question and answer segment. And the first one I hijack and say, I don't want to know the question in the first one, but make it, in a box, like it should be something heartwarming, or they want to let you know they're around, or they know what you're doing. Anyway, I said, I'll tell you what I'm seeing. I see a little boy riding on the back of a giant butterfly in heaven. And
Mm.
he's dive bobbing. He's having the best time. And she starts crying. I said, did that have anything to do with your question? She said, oh, yes, you won't believe this. So I said, what was the question? She said, what is my son doing on the other side in heaven right now? And then she told me, I bought a book after he passed so I could explain to his younger sister about death and and what they might be doing on the other side, and that it's okay and they're happy. And she said, and there was a page showing something a little boy might be doing, and it was a little boy riding on the back of a butterfly
Oh,
in heaven. I don't know if you can see this, but anyway,
oh yeah,
I'll I can take the thing off later.
Lord.
So that one was profound and life-changing for me because I
Yeah,
realized it was so rewarding helping a mother who lost a child.
oh,
So
definitely.
after that, I got certified by Helping Parents Heal,
Mm.
international organization that specializes in, and they're unbelievable. Um, so that wasn't a funny one, but that was really crazy. So
Heartwarming.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
another fun one. I had a woman, and she wanted to see her uncle. She had a great uncle. And I said, well, your uncle is straddling a rocket ship going up in the sky, in the cosmos. And he's turning around and slapping the back of it like it's a pony, and he's saying, giddy up, go fast, go fast. And I said, do you have any idea what that means? She said, I sure do. He loved horses. He was a bookie. He took bets on horses, so he wanted it to go fast. So that was charming. Oh,
That's
I,
funny.
I had another one where a woman, I said, just ask your dad in spirit the question. I don't want to know. And spirit likes to give me uh, little things to do a little play in, props. Anyway, I
Yeah.
said, okay, so you're on a gorgeous lake. There's a beautiful little rowboat there. It's all placid, and you're in the front, the client rowing, and she's like in her 20s. And your dad is in the back, and he's rowing. He's keeping you sort of on path so you don't like drift off. And he's there to support you. And I said, but there's another man in the middle. And I said, oh my God, your dad is like grabbing him by the neck, and he throws him overboard, and he says, let's go. We're not picking him up. And I said, whoa. I said, what was your question? She said, how do you like my new boyfriend?
Oh, oops.
I said, well, you got your answer there. Yeah. Um, I also get there's a lot of times when you have two people, like I explain what this person looks like and their personality, and they're similar. They could say, well, it could be two different people. They were so similar in so many ways. And so she goes, you got to give me like something that I'll know which one it is. So all of a sudden, they also move me. Okay. All of a sudden, I'm saying I'm swallowing a sword. Okay. This woman is swallowing a sword, and now she's pulling it out and doing a whole dance and, karate kicks with the sword. I said, do you know anybody with a sword? She goes, oh, that's my Aunt Louise. She was a belly dancer known far and wide in Turkey for her sword dancing.
Oh my gosh.
So they give me things that are like, whoa,
Yeah.
there's just so many crazy things.
They do give us
Oh,
things that are off the wall. And that's a good thing because then there's no way you
then
can make
there's
that up.
exactly. So, and
Mhm.
some people like the woman with the butterflies who didn't just couldn't think at that moment. We're throwing a lot of things at them at once, and
Right.
things are going to go over their head, or they're so nervous, or they're so anyway, I another one where I said, "Don't tell me what the question is." Um, I like getting my head out of the game. It's not a parlor trick. It's just that
Right.
nothing good happens when our conscious mind is
Gets in
involved.
the way. Yeah.
Exactly. So I said, "Okay, this is really weird." I said, "This man is scrunched up into a giant jar. His whole body is in a jar, with a cap. It's something that you would see on a mad scientist shelf." I said, "Does that mean anything to you?" She goes, "I don't know what you're talking about. No, not at all. I have no idea." I said, "Tell me what the question was, because I like to know. If it's a no, that's fine. But I want to know why spirit gave it to me. Okay, I'm learning. I'm learning too." She said, "Well, my husband and I went to a concert of my son's favorite band, but he didn't live long enough to see them. So my husband and I brought a jar of my son's cremains to the event, and we sprinkled him around. And we wanted to know, was he with us?" I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "I just showed you your son in a jar, and you don't connect that he's showing him because he was a funny guy, that he was in a jar and you brought a jar of him to." She goes, "Oh, oh, I see. So he was there." I mean, it just makes for a lot of fun.
It
Um,
does.
it
Yeah, and
does.
sometimes I understand that you have to sometimes not make anything fit, but connect the dots for people.
Yes, and
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm happy to do that. I always tell
right,
people to be doing this. Sometimes you got to be Sherlock Holmes and figure out what they're trying
right.
to say, because I get a lot of symbolism as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So metaphors.
It's fun. It is. And spirit has fun with it too. I feel that all the time. And I do feel that spirit loves working with that with the medium, the channel, when we do look at it that way, not so hard on ourselves, not so, lack of self-confidence, that type of thing.
Right, right. So that's all about trust. There's one more that I love to tell, because I
Sure.
had a client that came every year when her husband's angel day. And I don't love being tested because it just gets me a little nervous. And she always does. And anyway, she said, "I don't feel my husband. You told me he's around for the last 6 months. I have not gotten one sign from him. I don't know what's happening over there. He might have found another girlfriend. I don't know." And she was suffering. Okay. She said,
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but yeah.
she said, "If he's really around, he'll know what show I watched during the pandemic that I binge watched." And I thought to myself, okay, I can't pull this one out. I mean, because I just thought, I don't have that ability. Anyway, her husband, who was there, said, "Outlander." So I said,
Oh,
"It was Outlander." She said, "It was Outlander."
I love that show.
I know, I know. And she said he never would have watched that with me. He would have like,
Yeah.
anyway, she goes, "You have no idea how you just made me come back alive. I was so depressed, and I really just started just really getting dark, that he didn't love me anymore and he wasn't around. She goes,
Yeah.
I understand, even if I don't feel him or get messages thrown at me, that he's with me and he's still going to always be with me. And that's what you just helped me do. So, because I always say when people try to give those things like, what color are my shoes right now, whatever. I said, listen, I will ask spirit everything you want. And they know what it is without you even speaking it. And if they give me an answer, great, I'll tell you. And if they don't, they don't. They give you what you need to know now and not always
Yes.
what you want to know. So, but I will always ask.
Yes. Totally true. Definitely. Yeah. Do you agree, and I'm sure you would, that people need to understand what happens when we die? We are not taught how to die in Western society, and it's just so important to understand the transition, the different state. It's like walking from one room into another. And I've heard this, and I've had two NDEs, and I've heard this so much from spirit, and I imagine you have too. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I in when somebody books with me, I send them like a PDF, one of what you need to do to prepare for this
Mm-hmm.
tissue. Don't don't ask me, what your nickname was when you're six. Um, and then I do a document that Suzanne Geisman does, like what should you honestly expect in a mediumship reading? And things like if you're expecting the code word, if you're gonna not be happy, if they don't tell you exactly what you want to hear, you're ruining the whole, it's not the point of it. You have to just be open and understand that you're gonna get what you need to hear.
Yeah.
And then I do a resource page, which has a lot of exercises on it, some guided meditations to get your loved one on your own, some references like soulproof.com, where you have 50 years of articles and research and fun things that are all free. And then I have what to expect from the afterlife, which is like maybe 4 pages of what you're going to go through and what's going to happen there, and what to expect, and are you going to work there, can you study, and so that by the time they get to me, if they read everything, and I say you better read everything,
Yeah.
they have a better sense of what this should be and what they can expect on the other side, or
Okay.
things like that, because no matter how much they hear, everyone's okay on the other side. Everybody's at peace. There's nobody. If they'll be taken care of, they'll be coddled. If they need therapy, they'll have therapy. Whatever it is, they're going to be absolutely at peace. They do not judge us. They don't care what you do in your physical world. They only care about our emotion. All they feel is love and joy and gratitude, and they're dedicated to an eternity of service to others. They don't stay mad if they, when they come to us. When I tell you who I'm seeing and what they're doing, they're just recreating that for you so that you'll know who it is.
Hmm.
That's not who they always are, because like I've had a man come in and swipe everything off the table, and steaming out of his ears like he was really a mad guy, and she goes, oh yeah, that's my stepfather. Now if he just came through sweet and loving and arms around you, that's not going to tell you who they are. We're all here just playing a part in a script, and we signed on for it. We signed that contract. We're going to play that. So, but we don't really know what we signed up for until we're on the other side.
Yeah.
And then we find out how it was done for us, not to us.
Hmm. Definitely. We do plan our life. I feel that. Of course, we have free will.
We do, and I believe that probably screws it up, because if you've got the guides and the council and the masters all working on a plan for you, I
Yeah.
think they know what's better for you or what you need than your crazy mind on drugs. Okay, so I say stick with the plan.
So, on that note, what would you suggest for people watching to help them connect with their guidance system, with their guides, angels, loved ones, all of the above and beyond, so that they can?
A lot of big professional mediums, psychic mediums, they have no idea who their guides are. And they
Oh.
say, we don't care. Whoever wants to do whatever on the other side, it's not like you need to know. Some people are just curious. And in Suzanne's class, her beginning class, she gave us an exercise to at least feel the presence of somebody. Okay.
Hmm.
And I could just quickly say it's like set up a little altar for your son or whatever and tell him you're going to be there every Sunday at 10 a.m. Maybe bring him a bagel, scooped out bagel if you want. It's easier now than it was before. Um, and some candles and a chair for him and open the door. Just say, come in and just see if you feel any kind of energy shift or if you get a chill or a tickle or anything. And you'll probably say, no, I don't feel anything. Say, can you please go out the door? Go out the door. And also see if it's changed from the energy that when he just left. And you can do this 10 times. And eventually you'll probably feel a presence because it's coming in. Do you feel anything when it goes out? Does it feel a little different? It's 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 try it and then try it again.
Hmm.
And I we won't know who it is, but you can say if the altar's for your son, that it would be your son, and he is going to be there. So that's
Right.
it's just a way of repeat and check and repeat. It's like an experiment in trying to figure out. But we all know that when you are in deep grief, it is such a low vibration. It's really hard for them to get through. And the only thing you can do is if you have the power, is before you do it, is to raise your vibration. Whether it's um, you know, feel just thinking about them and feeling the love and just bringing that into you, how much you love them, not how sad you are they're gone, but how much you love them. And think about doggy love. I do a little thing before I start a reading. And one of the things I do is get on the floor with my spirit animals and wrestle a little, okay? And just give them a lot of kisses and love. And that's one of the thing I do. Then I high five all my guides and hug the angels and then get to my higher self. And, I'm in business. So do what can make you feel open and excited
Yeah.
because it's really hard. Spirit says, it's like going through cement.
Hmm.
So, and even though a lot of people get signs really strong right after they pass, sometimes they don't leave for a couple of days to make sure you're going to be okay.
Hmm.
Mostly they do, but all they want is for us to be happy and to have joy and have laughter. That's it. And to help others. That's all
Right.
they want from us. They don't want you to sit in grief for the next 3 months and not leave the house. That's the last thing they want.
Yeah.
You know, Parents usually say, I'd cut off my right arm for them. They don't want our appendages. They don't care about that. They want you to be happy. So bring out the movies that they love to watch with you that made them laugh. Look at the photos. You may cry at a photo of your son and you right after it happens, or for months and months.
Yeah.
But if you keep trying to bring joy back into your life, you're going to look at that and laugh your ass off. because you remember that crooked smile that he had, and he's giving you the devil's thing or the angels, whatever that, or the peace sign. It's the way you perceive things, and we have to learn from that grief that we have to look at it a different way.
Hmm.
You knew that he was going to pass at a young age when you came down here. You accepted that because there was a benefit of it for him and for you.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I try to
And
just,
all around.
yeah,
Yeah,
figure it out that
definitely.
it's all the way it's supposed to be, and we don't know what it is until we transition.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. I also tell clients that I like to tell them that when they were here, their loved ones, when they were here, wouldn't they be here for you in the body? Why wouldn't they be here for you in spirit? It's the same. It's
Well,
just
then they'll say,
they,
well, they weren't here for me in body.
well,
They're
that's what I'm
gone
saying.
now.
They're loved ones, yeah.
Right.
But what I'm saying is the love
Yes.
never goes
Uh-huh.
away. That love never goes away. So they're no different other than they have an expanded awareness, meaning that they still love you and they have more capacity to love you now.
It's deeper and bigger,
Yes.
and all they take with them is their memories. So make a
Yeah.
lot of memories. You don't need to buy a lot of fancy cars because when you get up there, you could just manifest a Ferrari and go driving around the rings of Saturn. It's fine.
Right.
Anything you want.
Right.
So spend your time and your money on memories.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. That's good advice, definitely. Yeah. I love talking about spirit world because that's our home.
Right.
I see
It's
this as a
going
mission.
home.
It's going home, and this is our mission. This is, work here. Uh, and everything here is fleeting. Everything is fleeting. And so and I do believe that what we're grieving actually is the attachment. The love is always there.
Right.
There's a part of
Right.
us in our heart and soul that knows that we're never apart anyway, and then we're going to see them again. And
Exactly. I always say to people, I say, Edgar Casey says, they're not gone. They
right.
just went a little ahead of you. You'll catch up. It,
I love
they're
that.
right there, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, totally. Good stuff. Barbara, it's been an amazing, a joy to talk with you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience,
Well,
with my audience now?
well, I do want to do a little experiment with
Oh,
them,
yes.
or just to for them to play with on their own. So I'm going to count three. I'm just looking for the. I'm going to count three, and all the people that are listening and watching, and even you, when I count three, I want you to say the very first item that comes into your head. One, two, three. Don't think about it. What is it, Sharon?
Oh, me? For some reason I thought about my car.
A car.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All of you who are watching, spirit, your loved one, put something in your head. You can't, it has to be the first thing. You can't think about it or it's not going to work. You're going to have to
Yeah.
start over when I leave. Um, if you wait 3 seconds, you're going to think of something else because it takes 3 seconds for your critical mind to get in there. So forget about it. It's the first thing. In the next week or so, whatever a car that's going to be meaningful to you, you will see it somewhere you don't expect it. It
Mm,
could be a picture of your favorite car that you knew that your son knew that was it's going to be where you don't expect it.
okay.
And you're going to know they sent it.
What's from?
And you can do that every week at dinner, Sunday dinner with the family, and let your daughter pick something one day. I mean, it's something where everybody can feel, wow, he really was here. He put that in my head. It's
Right.
so easy. Let me show you a few pictures, but I have to.
Okay.
Oh, I don't think I can. It's your Zoom. Because I wanted to take the blur off so you could see these things better. But
Oh, you can't take it off on your end?
no, you're the host. Anyway,
Um,
I'll put it up as
okay.
close as I can. I asked a woman, tell me what it is, and she said, a wrench. My husband loved to fix cars. I said, don't go into the garage. That wrench will not count. So she wanted to send me a picture of her husband because he was really cute. Um, I sliced his head off so for privacy. But anyway, she said, there's a band, there's a Google band. Um, yeah, there's a Google band there, and it had a Google logo on it. She said, blow it up. I don't know if you can see this. Hold on.
There
There
it is.
is a red wrench
Yes.
inside the G for Google.
Yes.
You've never seen that on a Google logo before.
No.
Okay? She
Yeah.
was blown away. This one is very funny. Um, I was doing another podcast and I was telling the host this is an exercise I do. And then we ended it. And then she got in touch with me several days later. She said, "You don't know this, but I played along too, okay? And I got an elephant." And I thought to myself, an elephant? What am I going to do with an elephant? I'll never find something. She said, I took my son to a mini golf place a couple days later that we hadn't gone to. And look what one of the holes was, a giant
Oh, there it is.
elephant, a 20-foot elephant that you've got to push, hit the ball through. Crazy. You can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't.
I had an Italian client. She said hers was a heart. So she sends me, she goes, I was having some pasta the other day and I picked up the fork and there was a heart-shaped piece of pasta. It was like three pieces
Oh, I see
glued
it.
together
Yes.
as a heart. They are around us. They
Hmm.
put this in our head. They know what's going on and they just want to connect with you and make you feel that they're around you. And this is such an easy way to do it. Some things take a little longer. I did have a client who I told a year and a half ago that he had a secret sister and he got a little upset. He said he didn't. I would know. Thank you very much. And then he got in touch with me a year and a half later, said, I apologize. I said, for what? Um, he said, my father just showed me some pictures. And I said, who is that girl with mom? And he said, oh, you have a secret sister that you don't know about. So you
Wow.
never know.
You never know. Yeah.
You never know.
I love it when that happens. That happens quite a bit. Where you bring through information for someone, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like,
Exactly. And
well,
then
spirit won't let it go. I try. I ask 3 times. My method is I ask 3 times. If they still give it to me, I'm like, I'm just gonna have to give it to you, and then you let me know when you find it because I trust them over,
exactly. And
yeah,
by the way, I do that too. I say something, and if the client says no, and they come back again with the same thing, I said, look, they just came back, and then they come back again. I
yeah,
said, we're missing something. Okay,
right,
this. We're not getting it. This is real, and I'm got goosebumps all over me. So you know what I mean? We have to just trust ourselves.
yeah, yeah, and
And
sometimes they just don't remember, but
exactly.
but
I
it,
said, just go ask your alive mother, if Aunt Lulu had 6 toes, okay? And they'll get back to me and say, she did. I never saw her barefoot.
yeah, totally. I love that exercise. That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I hope maybe some of your viewers will make a comment that they got their wish,
yeah,
or their
yeah,
thing.
totally. Definitely. I'm sure they will. Well, Barbara, it was again amazing talking with you. Thank you for being on. And where can people contact you?
Easy. Bannermedium.com. You can find
Okay.
out about my background and some testimonials, and you can book a session on the site. And there's also some clips of fun things that happened in sessions that you might get some too. And I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook with little snippets of, 30-second little videos of really funny things that happen or like, wow, OMG moments.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you. And thank you everyone for being here and watching and listening. And thank you, Barbara.
Okay.
And we'll see you again sometime soon. I'm Sharon Kumara, and you have been listening to Awakened Soul Radio on Transformation Talk Radio. I invite you to embark on a transformative journey with us. Awakened Soul is a safe, sacred space for exploring the depths of our consciousness. Each episode, you will be inspired to shed the illusions that bind you, connect more deeply with your inner wisdom, and step into a liberating life of freedom, clarity, and purpose. To connect with me, visit kumaraacademy.com.